We're in first grade together, and high school together. And last time I was here, I talked about doing sleepovers with girls. Well, he was a sleepover with the boys. I don't remember sneaking out. Dad, I don't think I ever snuck out. I love and admire Rich Aspell ever since we hung around, like I said, did time together. And he went on to be a biologist where he'd done cancer research and he did all sorts of stuff. So he actually started dental school. I didn't start dental school until I was 26, till a little later. He started dental school right after I finished. And he's also, but before that, he was a paper boy. He did an ice cream truck. There's a story there. You're going to have to ask him later. I'm going to have to ask him later. Yeah, it's a personal thing. And there's so many things that his children are here tonight, so we're not going to talk about that. But this is his first time as a storyteller in public. So put your hands together for Rich.
On Clarence's story, you'll see in a minute. we're brothers from a different mother, maybe. So I was born down in Harvey at Ingalls and raised over in about a mile from here, over in the 3rd edition. The neighborhood with all the Scottish names. There's Stewart and there's Perth and Dundee, where they lived. And so the story takes place there. It was a Friday night, first Friday in April, 1968. We were over doing what we always did, about a half dozen of us, shooting baskets over at the Bruno's house. I don't know if there are any Homewoodians here, but big family, always a crowd. It was always a lot of fun. It just so happened, though, this particular Friday night was the night after Martin Luther King had been shot. And so here in Homewood, I mean, I was 13 years old. You know, I mean, I was aware, but basically unaffected by these events that were rocking the country at the time. So we're hanging around, we're shooting baskets. It's Friday night. Turns out one of the guys says, "Hey, the Healy girls, you know, they live over there. One of them's having a sleepover tonight. So let's go prank them somehow." Okay, you know, and you know, one of the guys' parents were involved in community theater, so he had props, he had makeup, he had whatever. And I don't know if it was Einstein or Isaac Newton, but somebody said, "Well, why don't you go get some makeup and we'll go dress up in blackface." And we said yes. And so 4 of us ended up. We got the tube of grease paint. We're dressing up. I'd never put makeup on before. It's kind of neat. I don't know. Girls do it all the time, but for a guy to change your character and it really does something. So anyhow, 4 of us got dressed up. A couple others were buzzing around on their bicycles. Our objective lay 100 yards from the Bruno's driveway, over to the Healy's house. So we walk over, the 4 of us, and we're assuming characters. There are no blacks in Homewood at the time, so we see what was on TV. We had and we go up to the Healy's door. Somebody rings the bell, and we're all ready. And nothing. Okay, ring it again, ring it again, ring it again. And nothing, nobody's home. They must be out to dinner. So we're just like, okay, what do? You're all dressed up on a Friday night. And so we start walking north on Western Avenue towards the old Texaco station that was at the corner of 183rd. And we figured, let's go get some cigarettes. Tough black guys always smoke cigarettes. So we're walking about a block or so, and a couple things I need to tell you about that were going on. One is the west side of Chicago is on fire. It was one of the worst nights in Chicago's history. In fact, that was the shoot to kill order night when Mayor Daley said, "Arsonists, shoot them to kill; looters, shoot them to maim." ugly night, ugly night. Here in Homewood, we are halfway between Chicago Heights, which has a fairly large black population at the time, and Harvey, 5 miles to the south, or north, which had a large black population. And the rumor around town, because we're young teenage kids, we knew the rumors, you know. The black folks were going to meet in downtown Homewood and tear it apart. Yeah. But the cops felt the same way. They were patrolling. They were out. So anyhow, the four of us are, walking up Western Avenue, and there are a couple of cars that passed us, and I remember distinctly this little beige Buick Skylark slowed down and then sped up. Hey, okay, we got something going. So we walk a little farther, and we get to the end where the houses are. There used to be a little manufacturing concern called Swan Cerix. And they had their office was set back about 100 feet, and they had a big lawn with trees and such. Well, a friend of ours, Billy, came riding up to us he was riding a Stingray. And he had been at the gas station. And he came and said, this Buick pulled in there, and there's a cop sitting there. And this guy in the Buick goes over to the cop and says, there's about a dozen black guys coming up the street this way. And so he goes, I'm out of here, and you guys better leave too. So we, Billy's gone. And so the four of us are like, what and all of a sudden we see the Mars light go off. It's about, not quite a block down where the Texaco was. And he screeches around the corner. Now, one of the things that young guys do is they know every hiding place in the neighborhood. We hid it. We were, behind bushes, trees, lying in the dirt. Cop car comes up to where we were, and he's shining a searchlight around. Didn't see us. Tears off south on Western Avenue, and we're like, uh-oh, this is real all of a sudden. So we start, kind of jogging across Swan Cerix and over, what's Waltz now used to be an A&P. So we ran into the A&P parking lot, and we're just about where the front of the store would be. At this time, we're hearing sirens starting all over Homewood coming our way, and Flossmoor coming up our way. They're on the radio telling each other that, was us dozen black guys in the neighborhood. And so we're like, uh-oh. And all of a sudden a cop car comes racing down the side of the A&P on the west side. So we ran around to the corner. Another one's coming down the east side. Luckily for us at that moment, at the back of the parking lot, there's about a 5-foot drop into the back of Swan Cerix manufacturing concern. So we scramble down there, and we start racing across their parking lot and over towards the back of Alexander Terrace, where there's this wood fence. At that time in my life, I was what they used to call husky. Mom would go to Carson's and get me the corduroys, and I'd sound like crickets. And then I was cool. So anyhow, we're running. I can get drunk. It wasn't that funny. So we're hustling, and the other three guys, of course, were ahead of me. They got to the fence, they climb over it, and I throw my lard ass over. The cop car was about 20 feet away from me when I finally heaved my body over the fence and into the Calhoun's backyard. Another family from our past. And so we ran into the Calhoun's garage. It was an attached garage. And we go, we're listening to the cop cars go at the alley behind us and the street in front of us, just racing back and forth. And we go up to the door inside, and we just, Johnny, let us in! Johnny opens the door and sees 4 black faces, scared the bejesus out of me. He finally heard our voices. We pleaded, he let us in, and we took our makeup off. And we're 13, 14, 15-year-olds, we're proud of ourselves for this prank we pulled off, and high-fiving ourselves. So we're all cleaned off, and we decided, we'll walk back over to Bruno's. And two, you know, in twos. We don't want to be too big of a crowd. And we walk back over there, and we pretend to shoot baskets for a little while, but the energy was kind of changed. And we're kind of realizing, you know, boy, that was incredible. You know, we could have gotten shot. You know, I mean, somebody finally figured out this was not good. You know, and so we split. Everybody went home after a while. Well, the next day is Saturday. It's Lent still. I don't think I went to confession with Father Burke over at St. Joe's because I had enough sense to know that you don't really get absolution for stupidity. But it is a sin if you don't learn a lesson from something like that. You know, so I did learn some lessons. You learn a lot, you know, the old saying is, you know, walk a mile in another man's shoes, and you get to understand. Well, I got 3 blocks. I learned a lot in 3 blocks. I learned that blacks get arrested for walking through neighborhoods for being black. You know, nothing more, nothing less. They get stopped. In Homewood, we didn't. We're white kids. We're, you know, a bunch of miscreants. You know, but we still got away with stuff. And, you know, I also learned, and this had more to do with the man who died on Thursday. He had a dream, you know. And the more I learned about Dr. King and his eloquent speech, you know, the more I began to appreciate, especially after that night. He had a dream. The big dream was he had a dream his 4 children would grow up in a nation that didn't judge you by the color of your skin, but by the quality of your character. We didn't really character that day, but that, you know, but I've learned since then, you know, we should care more about the people around us. Now, my generation, we're probably not going to make that dream come true in my lifetime. I looked at my kids and I think it's happening. We are beginning to become colorblind, as it should be. So, thank you.